So you want to start a cold calling agency, but you've got no money, no clients, and you might not have even made a cold call before. The good news is that that's fine, because it's the exact same position that I first started in when I started my agency. And in today's video, I'm just going to walk through step by step exactly what I would do if I had to restart completely from zero. My name's Phoenix Flores, and at 19 years old, I co-founded Everest Telesales, a B2B cold calling agency focused specifically on booking qualified meetings for companies. Now, in that time, we've made over 500,000 cold calls and scaled to a little over 25 different industries. So this is the journey all the way from £0 to a fully functioning business. Let's get into it. So step one before absolutely anything else is to just actually learn how to cold call. Learn how to handle objections, how to conduct a cold call, and how the market of cold calling actually works. And I know that can seem like a pretty obvious first step to take, but you would be amazed by how many people get into the industry and think, let me just start an agency without actually learning how to make a cold call first. And here's what probably goes through your head when you first think about making an agency. You start thinking about the logo that you're going to use, the name of the business that you're going to do, and try and do all the creative, fun business work of what your business is actually going to look like. And as well, of course, another big one, pricing, what model am I going to cold call into? The truth of that is that none of this stuff, right? None of it matters until you first learn how to cold call. And again, it's really important that if you're getting into the business of cold call, you first and foremost become an expert in how to actually do it. So if you're 18 or 19 and you're watching this video thinking, how do I start? First things first is that I would just get a real job. It doesn't matter what it is, but just anything that you can get to just pay your bills, right? Something like either retail or I started in hospitality, but literally anything that you can just do day to day. And outside of those working hours, you just need to spend every single minute learning how to cold call, right? And just getting really, really good at selling. And in this day and age, there's so much free stuff online that you can just leverage. You've got Claude, you've got ChatGPT, there's so many YouTube videos, me being one of them, that you can go and check out to just learn how to actually conduct a cold call. So before you do anything, right, just learn how to actually make a cold call. Now, step number 2 is to find a client, and I want you to offer your services for free. I know what that can sound like at first because every single person tells me the same thing, and that is that I got into this business to start making money and start, doing a side hustle or, making a bit of cash on the side. Why on earth would I start cold calling for free? And look, when I say free, I don't mean it's going to be free forever, right? I mean a very specific kind of free that benefits not only you, but also the company you're doing it for. So here's what you do. You go out and you find a business in one industry that you either are quite knowledgeable in and you have a bit of background expertise in, or an industry that you want to get into and that's what you want to be your niche. And you call the business up and you say, look, I want to work for you guys completely for free, meaning that I will handle all upfront costs such as the dialer, the data, the CRM, the follow-ups, absolutely everything. You don't have to pay me a penny. And the only thing that I want in return is if I do a really good job for you guys, is just to be able to create a case study based on the work that I've put in and your recommendation to another business. Now, most businesses will just say yes to that deal on the spot because it's absolutely zero risk to them whatsoever. They get a guy who's calling for free, they might get a few leads out of it or even a few sales, and worst case, if it doesn't work, they lose absolutely nothing because they're not putting any of their resources into it. Now, here's the bit you don't want to get wrong, right? Once you've signed up this business, your only job for the next at least 3 months is to put your heart and soul into making sure that that campaign works and they see either a significant amount of book calls, significant amount of leads, or ideally a significant amount of sales come from the campaign. And at the same time, you also just want to get really, really good at selling that company's specific product. Note down the objections you're getting, the common pain points that you're seeing in the market. Just note down absolutely everything and learn all there is to learn about selling that company's product. Because remember, you're basically doing two things at once here. You're learning exactly how to run a campaign for an agency. So when you eventually go to sell this as a service, you know how it runs. But the good part here is you're doing it with a client that has zero expectations on results. There's no pressure to make the campaign work. You are just purely learning how to actually run this service. And number two, you are building up a fantastic case study for the next company you go to pitch to in real time. So once you've gotten really good at selling that company's services, you'll start to see the compound effect happen. And this is in step 3 where things start to snowball a bit. So for step 3, I want you to do the exact same thing. Find a client, work for free, and in turn, get a case study. Ideally, you want to work with another business that's in the exact same niche as the one you've just did. Meaning when you go to call this company up, you've got an exact case study, you know the exact model that you were using for the other agency, so it should be an even easier yes than it was to get your first one. And again, you just say the exact same thing. Look, I've worked with this company, they do exactly what you do, we've had a great campaign, here's the case study. Look, I want to work for you guys on a completely commission-only basis, meaning no upfront costs, I source the data, I get the CRM, I make the calls for you, and all I want is deals or commission on deals that close for your business. And as well, just another case study if I do a really good job. And again, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes to that. So once you've done another 3 months for this client, ideally getting them some pretty good results, you should end up with 2 case studies. Now, what do you do after that? Again, I want you to do this, right? One more time, right? One more time, so you are now left with 3 case studies on why it works. And what you either might notice or might not notice here, once you get to the 3 case studies mark, is that you are no longer a beginner, right? You have now ran 3 separate cold calling campaigns for agencies, and you've also gotten really good at, well, hopefully really good at selling a particular industry's product or services. So you have now built up a really good model for how you're going to take this to market. You know what works, you know roughly what you're able to generate for clients, you know roughly what the order value should look like, and you've almost built up an exact playbook of how you would run campaigns for this particular ICP. Now look, once you've got these 3 case studies, or once you've gotten to that point, you're finally ready to start charging the clients money to do this. You've built up a good enough foundation, you've hopefully gotten pretty good at cold calling, and if you've been learning at the same time, you should have learned how to actually run these campaigns for these industries. So you have got basically 2 different options from this point. Option 1 is to go back to the previous clients that you did this for, and basically just say, hey guys, I delivered you X, Y, and Z when we ran a campaign last time, and now I'm going to start charging a low retainer fee to do this for you again. Or option 2 is to go out and find a new client. Which is the harder of the 2, which is why I'd recommend option A rather than going out and finding a new one. But if you don't want to go back to those previous clients for whatever reason, maybe they were just nightmares to work with, whatever it is, you've now got 3 brilliant case studies and you can, pretty confidently go out and pitch a client. So depending on either of these options, depending what you want to do, you want to start with just a really low retainer to start things off. I'd recommend charging like 1 to 1.5K just to start things off. And as well with like a booked call incentive, like maybe 40 to 50 pounds per qualified shown up book call that you're able to generate. Again, it's still low risk enough that you're still just starting out. You still want to just be learning how to do these campaigns properly. The companies will probably just say yes to that because it's, low enough of a cost that they can just chuck money at it. If it doesn't work, whatever. But if it does work, great, best of both worlds. You've now got a paying client and the company's got a new source of lead gen. And once you've got your first paying clients, my recommendation is to invest a bit of that profit into the right sort of tool set. So you want to get if you haven't already, by the way, an auto dialer in place, a good CRM, some sort of like reporting system for your clients. Those are like the free things that you need to set up a campaign. In doing that, you should realistically be able to handle at least like 2 to 3 clients using that model. So try and get up to that point, and ideally, let's just take it on the low end, right? If you get 3 clients, all paying you $1,000 a month, that's $3K per month. And you are now at the very, very foundation of running your own cold calling agency. You have paying clients paying you to do cold calling as a service. And real quick, if you're a business owner looking to get into cold calling, or if you are just starting from scratch, I've linked the cold call scaling roadmap in the description below. It's a completely free PDF that I've spent quite a lot of time on, just telling you how to get all the way from 0 employees all the way up to 25 plus. It details things like the scripts, industries to call into, tools to use, data providers, all of that good stuff. So completely free, just my gift to you. Check it out in the description below. Step 5 is where your job role as the founder starts to change a little bit, because truthfully, you set this call center up not to do the calls yourself, but instead to manage the agency, right? So once you get up to 3 paying clients, paying you either 1K or 1.5K a month, and they're all going pretty well, ideally getting them into like contracts for like 3 to 6 months, your next step is going to be to hire your first caller. All right, because you've now proven the model works, you've got paying clients on a retainer, and you've hopefully, if you've done that for a few months, got enough money to reinvest some of those profits back into finding someone to make the calls. Now, the way to do it without having your business immediately fall apart is when you hire someone, you don't just want to immediately chuck them into a client campaign because they're just not ready, right? So instead what I do is hire your first caller and just have them shadow you on your campaigns. So I would have them call alongside you or call with you. Ideally also create a playbook, just based on all of your knowledge, the objections that you're typically facing and how to handle them. And basically just get them to call alongside you. And keep that going for like a month or 2 months until they are almost as good as you. And then basically what you want to do is, over time, just hand your campaigns over to them. And your job then becomes training, monitoring, and providing feedback on that person. You're going to see obviously a noticeable drop in terms of your profit because now you've got 2 wages to pay and only 1 set of campaigns going out, but it's normal in the beginning, right? So bear with it for a couple of months, get him up to speed, take the pay cut basically, because it'll be worth it in the long run. Now, once you've made your first hire, it's actually pretty simple from here on out because you're basically just rinsing and repeating everything you do. Save up a bit of money for a few months, get like a little pot to make your next hire. And again, just all you want to do is have them shadow your other employee on his campaigns, find more clients, put them onto him over time. And then again, just make sure you work on training, monitoring, and giving feedback. And there you go. You do that with a 3rd employee. You've now got 3 cold callers all underneath you. And again, your job now becomes just training and monitoring these people, making sure all of their campaigns are going smoothly, and just focus on growing and improving your campaigns. That's the main thing. I think once you get to 3 employees, it kind of just becomes a case of, okay, how do you optimize what you've got rather than how do I scale up to 30 employees right away? It's a lot easier to change, tweak pricing models or structures when you're at like 2 or 3 employees than it is to change structures when you're at 20 to 30 employees. So use the time wisely, change as much stuff as you can, like experiment with loads of different things until you get the model spot on. And once you've got that, then you can start thinking about scaling up. And just for reference, I've got another video linked on the channel, just takes you from 3 employees all the way up to 25 plus. So check that if you're thinking of going down that route. But at this stage, like I said, just optimize your offer. Just make sure it's the best it can be, right? Are your campaigns actually sticking on with you? Is your client retention shit, or are they sticking on? Are you getting good reviews? Take the time, just do it while you still can. So that's the whole journey, right? 6 steps, which is to learn to call. Number 2, generate a case study. Repeat that case study a few more times. 4th, find a paying client. Number 5, hire a caller and replace yourself. And lastly, just rinse and repeat. That's it. That's the exact roadmap that I would follow if I had to restart from 0. Learn to call, generate a case study, repeat those case studies, get a few more of them, find a paying client, hire a caller, and replace yourself out of the business, then simply just rinse and repeat over and over again. And the last bit of feedback I've got for you is if you've sat through this video, you've made it all the way to the end, and you're wondering, can you actually do this? The answer is yes, you can, right? I was in your same position a few years ago. I was thinking, could I do this? And the truth is, nothing happens until you actually make that jump and you just start doing it. So if you've gotten to the end of this video and you do actually want to get into this, just start learning to cold call at the bare minimum, right? You don't have to take the leap, but just start learning how to do it. You know, don't just come away from this video and click on to the next one. None of this is going to become true unless you actually work really fucking hard to make it happen. So look, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and stay tuned for more. I'm posting breakdowns, objection handles, and plenty more videos like this.